Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the SaaS Flow Show. As always, I am your host, Trent Deersmid, and I'm here to help you discover what is working for SaaS companies today by shining a light on the tools, the tactics, and the strategies in use by today's leading SaaS founders. On the show with me today is Vincent van Scherpenseel. Vincent is the entrepreneur and product designer, is an entrepreneur and product designer, combining his background in design, business, and software development to build products that deliver great experiences. Vincent co-founded and currently serves as CEO at Content King, a cloud-based SaaS platform providing real-time SEO auditing, monitoring, and content change tracking for businesses all around the globe. Vincent, thank you so much for making some time to come and be on the show.
Glad to be here.
So let's start off with just some overview on your company here in part one of our interview today. So in your own words, what does your company do?
Right, so what we do is we essentially mimic Google and other search engines by continuously 24/7 monitoring websites and doing that primarily from an SEO, search engine optimization point of view. So what that means is that we have a stateful index, meaning we keep track of all the pages that exist on the website, and we continuously audit those for problems that limit the visibility in search engines, and we also monitor those for changes. So whenever you add pages or remove pages, or you make changes within pages, we flag that and we make it very easy for you to see those. And on top of that, we also send proactive alerts. So whenever something breaks or unexpectedly changes in your website, we proactively alert that to you. So you get a Slack notification, get an email, you can jump right on it. And the goal there is that you can resolve the problems before Google actually notice those problems. So you actually are in a position to fix them before they actually hurt you.
So the major value proposition is obviously making sure that you're not penalized in SEO or that you don't lose the traction that you've worked so hard to gain.
Yeah, it's essentially two things. Growing your rankings by solving issues that we flag, and make sure that you keep those rankings by resolving problems as soon as they happen.
Okay. How'd you come up with this idea? Seems like a rather obscure idea.
Well, that's the thing. This is a problem for businesses all around the globe. If you care about SEO, you need to keep track of what's happening to your website. And we actually had a background in digital marketing. So me and my co-founder and our team, we ran an internet agency before where we were doing a lot of website development, a lot of consultancy, a lot of SEO specifically. And as our company grew and we got bigger and more serious customers, a lot of e-commerce, it happened over and over again that something went wrong in the website, something broke or changed unexpectedly because the client decided to improve page titles across the entire website, or developers pushed a change that wasn't well tested everywhere. And the client would notice it and would give us a call, which was the worst that happened, or we would catch it if we were lucky in a monthly, or if we were very lucky in a weekly audit run. But overall, we were always late. It was a change happened, something broke, and it took us days at best to find out about that problem. And that's why we built Content King. Initially, it was an internal tool to just keep track of our client websites. And because there was nothing on the market back then, we're the only ones doing this at scale. And we realized immediately what the potential was there. That this is a problem that every company that cares about Google, that cares about search engine findability, is dealing with. And we solved it. So we closed the agency, we sold it to some other agencies, or we sold our client portfolio and jumped fully on that internal concept, which became Content King.
Okay, so you built it really to scratch your own itch, not thinking at all that it would ever be a commercial product. At some point in time, you realize, hey, this is probably a commercial product. But did you go through a process to validate your idea at all before jumping in with both feet?
Well, yes and no. Of course, the idea is also reshaped over time. A good example of that is the change tracking feature that we have. So in Content King, you can, with one click, you can see, okay, what happened on my website in the past week? What content was added? What content was removed? What pages were deleted? And that's a feature that came pretty late in the development of Content King. It was initially just an alerting system. Whenever something changed, you could see that, you could get the alert. So yeah, the initial idea was validated by ourselves by seeing, okay, this is a real problem, and if we have the problem as an agency, there must be at least other agencies and potentially other businesses that have the same problem.
Yeah, but sure. How did you know they were going to buy? How did you know they were
Yeah,
going to spend money to solve that problem, though?
right. So we built an MVP, basically consisting only of designs. So we were working on the engine, the monitoring engine, and at the same time we were designing the app, so the user interface. And we built a prototype of that using InVision, where we just created a clickable prototype, and we would go and meet customers or customers of the existing agency that we had at the time, and we would also meet with other agencies, and we would show them what we were working on and ask them if this is something they would use and they would buy. And we got a lot of positive feedback there, and that's when we knew, okay, we're onto something, and yeah, we went full steam ahead.
So at that phase, because I've done research and surveys and things like that before, and what I've found is that they'll quickly say, "Oh yeah, that's something I'll buy." But then when you say, "Okay, great, pull your credit card out," suddenly they change their tune.
Yeah.
So did you do anything? Did you get people to vote with a credit card before you dove in, or did you just do those surveys and think, this is, given our own experience combined with these opinions, this is a sufficient amount of validation for us to move forward?
Yeah, the latter actually. We didn't ask for the credit cards at that time, and doing it all over, I think I would do that a bit more, because to be honest, you're absolutely right that that happens. It happens a lot that people say, yeah, I would buy it, and then when the push comes to shove, they don't. We got lucky in a sense, because those people that said they would buy, they actually did buy. But yeah, I can imagine that there are definitely cases in which it doesn't happen. And so if I would have to do it over, that's one change I would implement, definitely.
Okay. Now, your target customer first of all, did you have a target customer in mind? And now that you're a ways into it, has that target customer changed?
Yeah, absolutely. Initially, we focused a lot on agencies, which still is I would say, the primary customer for us, especially when it comes to revenue and retention. Um, Later on, we also started focusing on end user businesses, mostly in the SMB space. And there, actually, we figured out, okay, there is another market, which is the enterprise, which we're not going after. And we discussed internally, why is that? And it was a very stupid reason, but it's because our agency was focused on the SMB space. So that's where we knew how the game was played. How do you sell products? How do you talk with these companies? And we didn't know how to do that with enterprise. So from a functionality perspective, we moved from agency to end user businesses. That was mostly, okay, product changes. And then once we were in targeting those two segments, we moved into the enterprise segment as well. But to be honest, that's something that happened like 10 months ago or something. So it's pretty recent. Okay. Another segment is publishers. So large publishers with websites with hundreds of thousands or millions of pages of content. That's another segment that we didn't take into account at the start, and are now also getting more and more traction in that space as well. So yeah, it's really been a learning experience for us, like to figure out who is our customer.
Mm-hmm. What does the pricing model look like?
Yeah, we're actually in the middle of changing it a bit, simplifying it a bit. Right now, we have 3 different pricing plans or pricing models. We have standard pricing, which is for end users. There you pay for the number of websites or per website and the number of pages. Then we have agency pricing, and agency pricing is based on a page bundle. You just purchase a certain number of pages you want to have monitored, let's say 500,000 pages, and then you can pick different plans based on features, and based on that, you divide the page bundle, the 500,000 pages, across as many websites as you want. And then we have the enterprise model, which is completely custom. We're simplifying this right now into a single pricing model where you have 4 different plans. And the approach we will take is the page bundle. So you pick the total number of pages you want to monitor. It could be as little as 1,000 and goes up to 10 million plus. And you can divide that across the websites.
So your average customer is paying about how much per month?
It differs enormously per segment. So if you look at the end user segment, that's about $60 per month. If you look at the agency, that's about $150 per month. And enterprise, that's anywhere, like the range is very big in that segment.
Okay. And you launched this commercially when?
So we started 5 years ago, and commercially, well, the first customer we got in mid 2016, but really commercially, I would say the second half of 2017. That's when we first started getting our real customers, people that we didn't know. The first customers were all in our network, friends, and
Yep.
etc.
So how many customers do you have now?
So we now have between 500 and 1,500 customers. Can't be more specific than that.
You can't be?
No, I can't be.
Okay. And how about ARR?
Yeah, there I also don't want to, I can't go into that right now. Yeah, as I mentioned before, we're currently in the work on the second round, talking to various potential investors. So I don't want to reveal that information at this.
Okay. Year-over-year growth rate?
Yeah, that's been for the past 2 years. It's been 3 times. So 2000.
3 times per year, or 3 times over that period of time?
No, per year. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So it's going pretty well. Yeah.
And and we're going to talk in part 2 of our interview. We're going to talk a lot more about the marketing that's driving that growth. So if you're curious about that, know that we're definitely tuned in for part 2, because we're going to talk more about it. How many employees do you have right now?
Right now we're 15 people altogether, split across 2 locations. So we're based in the Netherlands, and we have an office in Czech Republic. Most of the team is in Czech Republic right now. And we're actually working on opening an office in the US, because we have a lot of traction in that market, and the time zone difference makes it very difficult to properly support those customers.
What city are you looking at?
Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay. So you've raised money. So how much have you raised so far?
Yeah, we raised 350,000 euros. So that's close to $400,000. That was in October 2016.
Okay. Did it take long to do that?
No, not at all. What we did is we approached the clients we had from our agency days, and because we were focused on SMBs, it was all C-level people that we were talking to, and small medium business owners. So they liked the idea, and they liked the idea of becoming an angel investors. Most of them never invested before. So it was pretty easy, relatively easy for us to get the money together.
How many people did it take to raise 300?
10, I believe. So there's some put in quite a lot, and then there are some friends and family who put in less. We got it together.
So what advice would you give to other SaaS founders who are in the seed stage about raising capital?
Well, what helped us a lot is that we actually had a product already, and we had some customers. We had 20 customers or something at the time. That helped a lot. That validated the idea, at least. Of course, there's still the question, okay, how big can you make it? But it's a lot easier, I think, to invest in something that actually works, that the whole model is there, payment handling, etc. And it adds value. So if possible, see if you can get some product up and running, see if you can get some early customers, even if they would pay a fifth of what the regular pricing should be. I think it helps a lot to get something up and running.
All right, so now we're going to finish off part 1 with 5 quick facts. So short answers, Vincent. What is your favorite business book?
Yeah, that must be right now, obviously, Awesome from April Dunford on product positioning. Must read.
Okay. And what's your favorite online tool for growing your company?
Yeah, it probably is boring, but I would go with Trello. I just use it every day, and it makes everything much easier.
How many hours a week do you work?
60 to 70.
So family situation, married, kids, or no?
Yeah, soon to be married, and a son of 14 months.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
And what do you wish your younger self knew?
I was thinking about this question because I initially wanted to say, you will get there, don't worry. But then I was thinking, if I knew that at the time, would I have put in the same amount of work, same ambition to actually get where I am today? So I would say nothing. I would say exactly what I knew already, because it brought me up to this point at least.
All right. So that concludes the first part of our interview. Make sure you tune back in tomorrow for part 2, where Vincent and I are going to be going into a lot more detail about growth strategies. All right, welcome back to part 2 of my interview with Vincent van Scherpenseel, founder of Content King. If you missed part 1, make sure you tune in and check it out, because we talked a lot about the company, the overview, what type of customers, how they raised money, what the pricing looks like, year-over-year growth rate, and a whole bunch of other very interesting facts. Today, we're going to talk about growth. So, Vincent, tell me about your customer acquisition systems.
Right. So basically, the one single channel that really works well for us is content marketing. We put a lot of effort in Content King, and we have, I think, approximately 50 very, very well extensive guides and articles on our website. And that's driving the majority of our traffic and the majority of our trials and customers, actually. So what we do is we have this content marketing sprints. We try to adopt some Scrum-like features, where every 2 weeks we start a new content marketing sprint, and we plan, okay, we're going to create this article. We're going to write the article about, for example, Magento, how to do SEO for Magento. And then in the next sprint after that, we promote that article. So we do things like social sharing, of course. We include industry experts, ask them to contribute to the article and to share it within their network. And of course, being in the SEO space, we put a lot of effort into making sure that the content will rank well, that we target the right queries and such.
So I want to dive a little deeper into that. First of all, what you said, if I heard correctly, is you'll spend 2 weeks creating a piece of content, and then you'll spend 2 weeks promoting that piece of content. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's not like that's the only thing we do in the 2 weeks. So every sprint, we work on 2 to 3 articles, and the sprint after, or the sprint after that one, we promote those articles.
Okay.
And these reference guides, it's like a full week of work to really research it and to write a good article and doing illustrations, etc. Then we also do interviews, of course, expert interviews. So they are a lot less work to put together. Blog articles also on external sites. So usually per sprint, we do 3 articles creation and 3 articles of promotion.
And so these articles, are they like a typical blog post, or are they far more in depth? How many words are they?
Yeah, they're super in depth. To be honest, I don't know the word count, but if you check it out, contentkingapp.com/academy, you will find the articles there. It's not really a blog. It's more, I call it an encyclopedia. It's completely covering multitude of topics. So to give you an example, we have an article about robots.txt. What is it? Why is it important? How do you make sure that search engines don't have a problem with crawling your website? And it's I think 6 pages of content, all the best practices, pitfalls to avoid, lots of examples. A lot of these articles also have downloads, like cheat sheets, for example. These are really in-depth articles. And it makes a lot of sense for us. First of all, it drives a lot of traffic, but it also helps us enormously with support. We get a lot of questions about the topics that we cover, like, okay, how should I decide what page titles I should use? Or what should my XML sitemap contain? Now, these are the same questions coming up time and time again. And before, it just took a lot of time to answer those. And now we just point those people to the academy, which is really available. So not only does it help us get traffic, it also helps a lot in offloading support questions.
So do you publish a blog in addition to the academy, or is the academy the sole part of?
Yeah, so we have a blog as well. There we post our feature announcements. So for example, we added Google Data Studio connector last week, and that's something that we then announce on the blog. We also publish our interviews there with industry experts. So it's on contentkingapp.com/blog. You will find that content. The academy is more evergreen content. That's the content that we also keep up to date at all times. So we whenever there are industry changes, we reflect that in the articles.
Okay, so the meat of your content that customers would be searching for is in the academy. The content that's on the blog is more about your company and your product and announcements to keep your customers informed as to what's going on with the app. Would that be a pretty reasonable assessment?
Yes, it is. The only odd one out there are the interviews. They're currently in the blog. Maybe we should make a section for those in the academy. I'm not sure about that yet.
And are your interviews a text-based interview, or are they a podcast like this?
No, they're text-based.
Text-based. Okay.
Right.
Interesting. I've interviewed a lot of people over the years about content marketing, and I like your strategy. I might have to actually consider using it ourselves.
It works very well for us. I can definitely recommend it.
So that is the primary growth strategy. Are you running paid ads or a partner program or outreach or anything like that?
A little bit. So we're running some ads on Capterra, some Google ads, mostly remarketing actually. So the lion's share of our traffic is because of the content marketing. One thing I want to add to that, we do translate all our content to 5 languages. So we work primarily in English, and then we get it translated to Dutch, French, Spanish, and Czech. And that helps a lot as well, because in the English market, there is a lot of competition. But in the other markets, there's far less competition. So that works well for us to get these articles translated and visible in French Google, for example.
What do you use what service do you use to translate them?
We do it ourselves. We have some part-time people on the team that help with translating, and they also do support for these markets.
I like it. Also another very clever strategy. So was this, 2 things then. So how much traffic is the site getting per month? How is that and how has that grown over the last year, for example?
Yeah, so that's now between 50,000, 100,000 visitors per month. How it grew this year, the growth was a bit slower. I think 50%, and the year before we doubled it.
Okay. So your customer count is actually growing faster than the traffic on your blog. So that means your conversion rates must be going up.
Yes, although we also getting more word of mouth traction. So a lot of people are recommending us right now, also because we're the only solution on the market that can handle monitoring at this enormous scale. So we're seeing a lot of that. And you just ask about channel sales or like a referral system. So we have a certified partner program. Mm-hmm. That's for paying customers. They can get certified. And when they then bring on additional customers, they get a commission, a revenue commission. And they get a little badge that they can use in marketing material. And we also, from time to time, we get leads, people who ask for consultancy services, which we don't offer. We just offer the software, and we pass those on to the certified partners as well.
And do you put a lot of effort into partner recruitment, or do they come and find you?
It's something that we need to do more, actually. We have the whole system ready for it, and we got, I would say, 10% of our customers through this channel. But I think it could be a lot more, because these agencies, they have easily can have 50 clients. And because contacting is so easy to use, they actually actively advise contacting to their customers. But I think we could do more, a better job at helping them, like having marketing materials sent to them that they can then give to their customers, etc. So yeah, it's definitely something I want to focus on in 2020.
Okay. How about your cost of customer acquisition?
Differs, but it's overall it's about 300 euros, so $350.
And how many months to get your money back?
Yeah, that depends on the segment. So it's anywhere between 2 months to 6 months.
So the LTV is?
Yeah, also that differs. Let me pull up the data. So LTV, again, differs per segment. It's between, in dollars, $1,300 and $7,000. And I'm excluding the enterprises here because that's all over the place.
Okay. And is the LTV at that amount because eventually customers drop off, or you've just only been in business long enough to get data for that amount of time and you've got customers that...
Well, we do have churn, of course, like every SaaS company has. We see more churn in the end user segment, mm-hmm. which makes sense because a lot of these customers, they come in to optimize their website, And then when it's fully optimized, they have solved all the issues, they're done, and over time they churn. They don't see so much the value of ongoing monitoring. So that's something where we need to do a better job. Agencies, they churn much less. Most of we lost a couple, but usually weird reasons like going out of business, not focusing on SEO anymore, or they're smaller agencies and they lose a big client. What we do for every customer that churns, of course, is we reach out. Why do you want to cancel? We have a whole survey that we run with them, which is insanely useful in figuring out how we should improve the product. But
so overall churn is how much?
Like I said, it differs per segment. Businesses about 6% per month, and agencies 2% approximately.
2 is good.
Yeah,
it's very good. Let's talk about customer success. You're onboarding new customers. You need to make sure they get up to speed on the platform. You mentioned it's easy to use, but what type of customer success systems do you have?
Right. So again, it differs per segment because if you have an enterprise customer that pays $20,000, $30,000 per year, you can put a bit more effort into it than somebody who pays a couple $100 per year. So first of all, we have excellent customer support. We aim to answer any question, chat, or email within 15 minutes during business days, regardless of the plan you're on. And also the support is not just limited to the app. We really try to help our customers if they have SEO questions, digital marketing questions in general. Really try to be helpful.
Let me interrupt you right there. You said aimed for 15 minutes. How do you actually enforce that? How do you, because as volume grows, of course, these things get more difficult. So how are you going to stay on top of it?
Yeah, so that means hiring new support reps in time. And what we do is we optimize our workflow as much as possible. So we use a lot of templates for answering where possible. We see, okay, that's that kind of question. We use a template to quickly create a draft and then modify where needed. We also make the workflow for working with accounts. So if a customer has a question like, hey, I can't edit this website, for example, then we can do it for them, and we make it very easy to jump into the system and to continue where they left off. So a lot of effort is put into being productive and being efficient, so that as a sales rep, support rep, you don't spend a lot of time looking up information, finding, okay, what was exactly the workflow here? We try to put that all in one place. We're using Intercom right now, not really so happy with it. It works, there are some issues with it, but what we do there, which is nice, is we put a lot of, we create a lot of segments to segment users into, okay, this is an agency type customer, and there you can expect these kind of questions. We have a lot of data from our database synchronized to Intercom, so that you see, okay, what plan are they on, what user role do they have, etc. So we try to put all that information in one place.
Have you investigated any alternatives to Intercom yet? Because I know that's something actually we're looking at in our software company right now. And my CTO, who is, we'll say cheap, is because Intercom can get very expensive as traffic grows.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So are you looking at any alternatives?
Yeah, and there are definitely a few good ones out there. The cost for us is switching away because we have this tight integration. It could easily take, I don't know, 5 developer days to switch over and have it all tested. And that means 5 days not working on features. So that's the real cost that keeps us locked. What
are 1 or 2 of the names of the alternatives that you've had to look at?
Yeah, so I like the, what's called Crisp Chat. It's a French company.
Okay.
They do a pretty good job, I think. There's Help Scout, which is also nice. And Kayoka or something. Yeah, Kayako.
How do you spell it?
Kayako. Kayako. So those are the 3 that I'm looking at or was looking at. But yeah, they all, I think, do a good job. It's just a matter of switching. Okay. That's another tip I want to give. Like, really think about, okay, what is the software you're going to use? What's the stack you're going to use? Because when we started, I thought, okay, we don't like it, we just switch. But the real cost is in actually once you have that implementation done, once you depend on the system, switching over to another is painful. It just takes development resources away from your actual product.
Mm-hmm. Aside from what you've described already, are there any systems that you have in place to help you reduce churn?
Yeah, well, of course, the usual stuff, like we have these notifications, like these users are inactive. We also send out emails when we do this, when we see, okay, somebody hasn't logged in for 30 days. We ask them, we haven't seen you for a while. Could you share with us the reason why? They can answer, okay, I've just been busy, but I'll be back soon, or I don't see the value of contacting anymore. Whatever there's these four answers. Once they click, depending on which one they click, they get a follow-up survey. We offer them Amazon gift cards to give them incentive to answer these questions. So yeah, basically detect that people are at the risk of churning, and reach out. And if they're large accounts, of course, we give them a call instead of the email, and see what's up. And for larger accounts, of course, we have regular account management calls. So every 3 months, we try to get in touch with these customers, ask them how they're doing, show them new features we've released, show them what we're working on, etc.
Okay. So in terms of growth and marketing, before we close out this section of our time together, is there one actionable piece of advice that you would like to give to the listeners?
I would say content marketing. It's the only marketing effort that really compounds. If you write a good article, a good reference guide, or whatever it is, and you actually start ranking, it means getting traffic every single month, and then doing another article like that, you build on top of it. And I think that's what more companies should focus on, and not cheap, simple content, like cheap expert roundups, whatever, but really invest in high quality, usable content. And one thing I want to say there is, if you check our academy content, the articles that are there are, it doesn't matter if you use Content or competitor or no tool, doesn't matter. It's applicable advice regardless of what tooling you're on. It's not trying to push Content down your throat. It's really useful information if you want to succeed in digital marketing.
And when you are constructing a piece of content, when you're actually writing it, are there any tools that you're using that are helping you to make sure that you've got all the right relevant keywords and the frequency and all of the things necessary so that your on-page SEO is as effective as it could be?
Yeah, I can't really answer that question, because most of the content marketing is actually done not by me, but one of my colleagues, or actually my co-founder, Steven. He shares a lot about his workflow actually in our academy, also how to do keyword research, how to pick the right keywords and how to put them, how to use them throughout the article. And he also writes for various external websites, such as the Content Marketing Institute, where he shares how he actually creates the articles. So definitely something to check.
All right. I will definitely be checking that out, because SEO is going to be the pillar of our growth as well. Mm-hmm. So that wraps up section number 2. We have one more part to go. So make sure you tune in tomorrow for section number 3, or part 3 of my interview with Vincent. All right, everybody, welcome back to part 3 of my interview with Vincent van Scherpenseel, co-founder of Content King. Founder or co-founder? I'm sorry.
Co-founder.
Co-founder of a content monitoring app called Content King. In the first 2 parts of our interview, we've talked about the company and statistics and raising capital and all of the things to do with that phase of his growth. And then we talked in part 2 about growth strategies and dove deeply into the details on how the company has tripled their growth per year over the last several years. So if you missed out on that, you'll definitely want to tune in and check it out. Today, we're going to be talking about leadership, people, and process. So you talked a lot, or not a lot, you mentioned the word workflow a number of times in part 2 of our interview together. And for those of you who know what my company is, it's an SOP platform. So workflow is a word that is near and dear to my heart. Tell me about how SOPs have helped you to grow and scale the business.
Yeah, so we try to put everything down into processes and process descriptions, and that's been working very well for us. So whether it's support, of course, support is a very great example. There's a lot of processes involved there, but also in sales, in account management, we define, okay, what are the tasks, what is the information we need for that. Once you complete the task, what's the output? Where do you leave that output? So yeah, we use that extensively at Content King.
Where do you put your content for SOPs? Does it live in a Google Doc or do you use an application for it?
Yeah, that's Google Docs right now, which is not ideal. So also there, we're looking into knowledge management platforms just to see if we can use something better than Google Docs, because it's easy to edit, but it's a bit hard to keep a good hierarchy of the documents and to make it easy for other people to find it, especially new people on the team.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention, the more people you have, the more workflows that you'll have going on, the bigger the challenge it will be to manage those workflows, because every single workflow has various people that it's been delegated to, and they have differing due dates. And unless you have software or a system in place, the wheels will eventually fall off the bus and things start falling through the cracks.
Yep, absolutely.
So I think you said earlier in maybe part one that you have around 15 employees. Did I remember that correctly?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. And how quickly are you adding headcount, and talk about per quarter?
Yeah, so it's been hard to hire for some positions. So we need developers desperately, and that's a very tough role to fulfill. We've been adding, I think, one team member per 6 months. But yeah, we definitely want to ramp this up. And like I said, we are planning to open our office in the US, and there we want to hire sales reps and customer support reps, 3 to 4 we're looking for initially. So that will be big bang, basically hiring 3-4 people at once. Usually we just keep the vacancies open. We look what candidates come in, and if anyone is good, we try to hire them as soon as possible. But yeah, on average, I would say one per 6 months.
Okay. How many are in sales and marketing versus engineering?
Yeah, that's the thing right now. We have most of the team is actually in engineering or product. So not just engineering, but also product management or design. Sales and marketing is just me and my co-founder right now.
So he's writing all the content.
Yep, he's doing all the content. He's doing all the relations with the community, social media, everything. He's talking on at events. So
okay. And who promotes the content? Is that him as well?
that's him as well, yeah.
Okay. And so what's your role in the marketing side?
Yeah, so that's more on strategic level. Okay, what channels are we focusing on? I'm doing the little bit of online spend that we do, the PPC. I do that right now, although I'm looking to hire a PPC manager for that. Things like pricing, that's also my responsibility. But marketing he's mostly doing that part, and I'm mostly doing the sales part.
Okay. Do you have systems in place for attracting talent, or do you just leave the posts up and run ads for the posts? What does that look like?
Yeah, we don't have systems for that yet. I think it's something we should be doing because it's too chaotic right now, to be honest. So we have the vacancies up, and we get a decent amount of candidates for that, but it's not something that scales so well.
And how about your interview process? Do you think you have a good systematic approach to job interviews, or is it just kind of, do we like them? Does it feel good? What does that look like?
Yeah, it differs a bit per position, of course. Like for engineering, I would say for engineering, it's much easier to assess whether somebody's a good fit, at least on the knowledge side of what they bring to the company in terms of skills. So basically what it typically looks like is every candidate gets interviewed by 3 people. So that would be me and my co-founder, and then a domain expert. So for example, we recently hired a new designer, and he got interviewed by front-end developer and the product manager, because they'll be working closely together. Engineers, they get interviewed by our lead developer. So yeah, 3 rounds of interviews with different people.
So you don't use any behavioral assessment tests like caliper, personality tests, that kind of thing?
No, we don't. To be honest, I've never really thought about using that either. We primarily look, okay, do they have the skills that we need, and do they fit in the culture that we have?
Yep.
We're a small team with a lot of customers, a complex product. So as you can imagine, the stress is pretty high. The pace is really pretty high, healthy, but still you need to be able to take that. And it's not an easy company to work for, I would say. It's a lot of things happening.
So how does compensation in working for your company compare to industry averages?
Yeah, our salaries are industry average, I would say. What we offer on top of that, of course, is equity. So we have a team equity pool, and also, I mean, working for a small company that does what we do means you have a lot of responsibility, and the people that we're looking to hire love to have that responsibility. So we hired quite some people who would be able to get actually a bit better salary in other companies, but they went for us for the responsibility that they would get here.
Okay. Have you had any issues with retention?
Well, yeah, of course. Although the really good people, we never had somebody leave. Yeah, we had one engineer leave, but he moved abroad. So yeah, what can you do about that?
Mm-hmm.
But we never had anyone leave who we were very, very sorry about that they left. So I would answer this with no. I wouldn't call it issue with retention.
Okay. In the area of leadership, people, and process, before we wrap up, is there anything that I haven't asked you yet, Vincent, that if you were interviewing yourself, you think, oh, well, you should definitely ask me this?
Well, what I want to share on this, what I learned during this whole endeavor where we build out contacting is, in the end, it's the recruitment is done by the CEO, I think, or at least by C-level people at this stage of a company.
Mm-hmm.
You can't delegate that. You can maybe delegate, okay, find me candidates, but to sell the vision, especially in the early days when it doesn't look like much, you need somebody who has that vision internalized, and that's usually it doesn't have to be the CEO, but at least one of the co-founders or somebody very, very close to it, somebody who really gets the spark, really gets, okay, why we're doing this, what are we solving here, and for who, and what can it lead to in the end if everything goes well. I think that's really important. Get people who, or when interviewing people, you sell the company, and you can't outsource that. Don't outsource that to anyone.
So to that end, let me offer you a book title, if I may. It's called Vivid Vision. It was written. So in North America, there's a company that is from where I'm originally from, Vancouver, BC, called 1-800-GOT-JUNK, and their COO, Cameron, and I've forgotten his last name now, but if you go to Amazon and Google Vivid Vision, and they've been a monstrously successful organization. I've read the book, and we actually have a Vivid Vision posted on our website for our software company, because it is, I think what you're mentioning is a really important issue, is that new employees, they need to know where you're going and what it's going to look like in the future. And a vision statement, where you have 2 or 3 sentences, that's not going to cut it at all in any way, shape, or form. A vivid vision is like one of your guides. It's a very, very detailed document that talks about the product and the customer and the growth and the marketing and the culture and all of these things that people who are looking at joining your team would care about. So hopefully that'll be of some help.
Okay, thanks. I'll check it out.
Any other actionable items, tips that you want to give before we close out?
Yeah, don't neglect the cultural fit. It's maybe a bit of a cliche. We had some people leave within the first 2-3 months because it just didn't fit on a cultural level. Especially when we just started out, I thought, okay, as long as we, as you bring the skills that we need, it will work. But that's not true, especially in the startup, where the pressure is high, and you just, that's very important. Get people who fit in the culture that you have, whatever that culture is. The last thing I want to share is, what's very difficult is when you have a group of what I like to call A players, employees who really, really are performing at a super high level, who are extremely skilled, have vision. You can't add people to it, at least not at the start, who don't have that same level of competence or that same drive. That will, not only will they fail, they will actually drag down the rest of the team. It doesn't work. We've had a couple of people come in who thought, okay, they're good enough. We can maybe train them or get them to the highest level. It never works. And that's one thing that I'm curious about. Okay, how does your company go from 15 people to 50 to 100 to 500 people and still maintain a culture? I think there's always going to be some pain here and there. But yeah, if you have A players, hire A players, because anything else will not work. And I think to make any startup successful, you need those A players.
Yeah, A players don't want to work with B players.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, Vincent, thank you so much for coming on the SaaS Flow show and sharing what has made your company successful. For anyone who might like to get in touch with you to talk about a business partnership or joint venture of some kind, are you on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I am. So
and I will
read my name.
I'll include, you'll get an email after this asking you for links to send me that I'm going to include in the show notes. Okay. And your LinkedIn profile will be one of those. So make sure you send that back over to me.
Perfect. Will do.